think I got everything else rocking and rolling here. I'm going to get my phone set up. You guys are joining via my phone today. Welcome, everybody. My name is Chris Cook. I'm Direct to Symmetry Financial Group. Have been so for glorious 6.5 years now. It's crazy. Been with the company that long. So appreciate you guys getting on here today. This is our weekly Zoom session call, and we want to bring value to you guys out there today. So we got some key training coming up towards the end of the call. We got some book of the month coming up, and we're going to also have Tina's tips. So looking forward to hearing from all that. But first, let's get into the numbers this week. Those of you who don't know, the reason we are coming to you via my phone today is because if you don't know, Zoom session Zooms throughout the country, throughout the world. A lot of them are having technical difficulty this morning, and so is my computer. But my phone will work, and so bear with me there. You may shake, rattle, and roll here in a minute, but hey, we will make it through, and we will progress through this. So appreciate everybody being here and on time. So let's get into our personal producers this past week. Love talking about our leaderboards. Want to talk about our top 3 app count producers this past week. We had Val Zarn with 5 applications. We had Jordan Gillum with 6 applications, and we had our number 1 app count producer this past week. Strong production over the last really month. Jeffrey Miller, part of the Joe Martinez organization, with 9 applications. I know that's a proud papa there in Joe Martinez today. So way to go, Jeffrey Miller. Proud of you, buddy. 9 applications. Any way you slice it, that's a very strong week in this industry. I know you're working hard, buddy, and I love just seeing you get better each and every week at your position, man. That's strong business. 9 applications in a week. Top 3 personal producers as far as APV, what you get paid on. This is an important category as well. Julian Tate, part of the Mark Neubauer organization, $5,643 in premium. Way to go, Julian Tate from the great state of Indiana. Shane Dez from out in California, $5,993 in premium. Way to go, Shane Dez. Super proud of you. Always a positive influence in this organization, part of the Val Zarn organization. Way to go, Shane Dez. And number 1 overall producer for the week. I'm telling you, I think every week he's been on the leaderboard for the past 4 or 5 weeks. Jeffrey Miller, $9,207 in annual premium volume. Way to go, Jeffrey Miller. Super proud of you, buddy. You are killing it in the great state of Arizona. And just super, super, super proud of you, man. That is some good work and good stuff. Way to get it done out in the field, Jeffrey Miller. Looking for good things coming up from you and your building organization as well, my friend. All right, so let's get into STPs this past week. Show the plan or share the plan, however you want to slice it. What that is people out there building a business actively each week. We had Jared Gillum, Barry Davis, myself, Mark Neubauer, Dustin Hensley, Smoking Joe Martinez, all of us going out and sharing the plan more than 10 times this past week. And that's how you grow a business. You consistently are on those boards. You will grow a big business here with us at Symmetry Financial, which leads us to another category, brand new recruits. We have Grant Reynolds with a brand new recruit this past week. Val Zarn with 2 new recruits this past week. Jared Gillum with 2 new recruits this past week. Barry Davis, recovering from appendicitis, also had 2 recruits this past week. Get feeling better, Barry Davis. I know you had emergency surgery this past week. Our thoughts and prayers as an organization are with you, buddy, on a speedy recovery, and still had the time to find out and get 2 new recruits. Good stuff, man. Me and Tina, I think we lapped the field, buddy. We had 8 new recruits this past week. Get you some of that, Joe Martinez. 8 new recruits this past week, buddy. Me and Tina know how to get it done when we go out there in the field and we recruit. So 8 brand new recruits this past week for me and Miss Tina. So appreciate you, Tina, and all your hard work on that, buddy. Also, that leads us to another great category. We love talking about this category, which is brand new writers. We have Aaron Moore, part of the Davis organization, brand new writer. Super good stuff there. We have Amy Ostrom, brand new writer, part of the Grant Reynolds organization, and Deidre Hale, which is a brand new writer, part of the Jordan and Jared Gillum organization. Way to go, Deidre Hale. $1,257. Tina, what did Erin Moore have in production? Did she beat? I was trying to always announce who had the highest premium.
Let me check it really quickly.
Okay, so just let me know on that right there. So I always like knowing who our brand new overall new writer of the week, the highest producer, and I love talking about that. So congratulations, Amy Ostrom, Deidre Hell, and Erin Moore, brand new 3 writers this past week, and that's strong. I'm telling you, if y'all saw the national leaderboards, our organization was ranked number 2 in the country last week in brand new unique writers, and I guarantee we're going to be strong on that board again this week. What'd you come up with, Tina?
1,800. So she was the number 1 new writer.
Erin Moore. Erin Moore. Congratulations, Erin Moore.
Good job.
Our number 1 new writer this past week, part of the Davis organization. Super proud of you, and keep it up. If you can do it one time, Amy, if you can do it one time, Deidre, if you can do it one time, Erin, just understand you can do it 1,000 times. And you just got to have the activity and the resources to go out and make it happen each and every week. So proud of you, brand new 3 people. Congratulations and welcome to the team. Go out there and let's get it done now. So good stuff there. Next, we've got news and notes. I think we've got news and notes. I want to cover this on the 12 o'clock call today. Put this on your board. You guys are out there, 12 o'clock call. We have Cicely Newsom. She's going to be talking about the real system. For those of you who don't know the real system, that's rapport, emotion, assumption, and lock it down. That is our in-home presentation. So if you're an agent, you're like, man, I need help on in-home. If I just knew in-home, I would kill it here. I'd be writing $20,000 a month. Well, guess what? She's going to teach you quality questions that you can ask while doing the real system in the home. And with her and her organization, I'm telling you, she's one of the best trainers here. That's today at 12 o'clock Eastern. That's going to be a Zoom session hosted by Symmetry Financial. Plug into that, take notes, and I promise you'll find something there to go out and apply to your business. And I'm just saying, put that as a part of your routine. You'll get a lot out of it. So next part is Tuesday. We have new agent call coming up at 11 a.m. Eastern. So if you're a brand new agent with us in your first 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of production, or you're an agent that just wants to get more results and you want to know the basics that all of the top producers do, you've got the new agent call hosted by Mr. Joe Martinez coming up tomorrow. Who is Joe Martinez? Joe Martinez finished top 10 in production last year for all of Symmetry Financial. He won a trip to London this past year and won a trip to Costa Rica as a personal producer. So, hey, it's somebody that I know can get it done. He was 81 for his first 81 in submitted apps. So say you're a new agent out there and you're wondering, how the heck do you get stuff issued? Well, I'd plug in tomorrow and ask Joe Martinez, right? And I would take notes and I'd plug in. He's written just over the last 2 years. Joe, you're over 400,000 in submitted premium just in the last 2 years, and really just in the last year and a half. You're over 400,000 in submitted premium. You're well over that for your career, but 400,000 in submitted premium just over the last year and a half. So kudos to that. I'm just saying, if you want to plug into a system, that'd be somebody to start out. The good part is you can take notes if you're brand new with us. And at the end of that session, you can ask Joe particular questions that you've got that you're having issues with, and he can help you out with that right there. So pay attention to Joe Martinez tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Zoom session. Next part, we've got corporate overview coming up this Wednesday. Put this on your calendar. It's 7 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday. Corporate overview. It's not necessary, a lot of times we'll have veterans that have been with us 2 or 3 months, have been on there. Great. We want you on there, but you know what? Go out and run an appointment. We can handle it. Send your new people there. We're wanting to teach your new people about Symmetry Financial and see if they're a part of it. It's not necessary if you're a veteran with us that you be on every one of those calls. It's not what we're looking for. That's for the people that's going on there and doing it. We're wanting to teach the new people that are looking to Symmetry. And I'm telling you, plug new people into those calls, because they're getting to hear from our leaders on how we do it, why we do it, and some of the successes that some of our team members have seen here. Gives you the opportunity to plug people into that. And that's at 7 p.m. That'll be hosted for some of our leaders. Leaders, be looking out for that agenda. That'll be coming out later today, probably 23 and 5 Eastern to you guys. And so be plugging into that right there. Next, we've got my most favorite segment of the week, Tina's Tips. Tina, what do you got on Tina's Tips for the week?
All right. So there are some new things happening in contracting these days. So SFG is starting to send out the new agent contracting links to the 4 core carriers prior to sending that new agent their opt credentials. So by the time they get their opt, they will already have their 4 core carrier links. They should complete those the day they get them. And I think this will definitely help out in knowing timing of everything. So that's my first thing. Also, want to remind everyone, if you have a temporary license, the only carrier that I know of in the SFG is letting everyone know of is AMM, that the new person can write with a temporary license. If they do want to write with a temporary license on other carriers, they need to call that carrier first, make sure that that is okay before they write business.
For the most part, though, Tina, that isn't okay, right? For what we understand. So we don't want to confuse people. Most of the cases, it's not going to be okay if you have a temporary license that you can write with other carriers. Now, you can check in your particular state, but we don't want you guys submitting applications that's not going to get issued. And we don't recommend really in most states that people get temporary licenses, correct?
No, and Tennessee is no longer issuing temporary license. A lot of states now that the testing centers have opened are no longer issuing the temporary license. So just go ahead and get licensed completely.
Yeah, what would be our biggest tip there? If you do have that temporary, it's okay, right? AM is what we're suggesting, right? And then,
that's right.
Yeah, so we just want to be clear with you guys and just want to help you. Now, if you have a downline, that's your responsibility. Make sure that they know. Also, if you're plugging into national calls, we know you guys would know this information because they've been covering on that stuff for the last 2 or 3 months. So make sure you and your teams are plugging into that so you have that information firsthand.
All right. The next thing I want to let everyone know, the next virtual DFL boot camp, so the Debt Free Life boot camp is set for September 9th and 10th, and you can register online at sfglife.com. Get plugged into that.
Yeah. One thing I want to say about that, Tina, if you're brand new, if you're saying, hey, DFL may be a good thing for me, just check upline because we know the parameters. We know certainly the cost to that class. We know the cost after that class and the investment it takes to make DFL happen. We just humbly ask that you check with your growing upline first to see if debt-free life would be a great part of your portfolio right now. For some of you, we may recommend it. For some of you, we may not recommend it right now. Just check with your growing upline, and I think they can give you good guidance on that.
All right. And lastly, I just want to remind everyone about the carrier reference chart because a lot of questions can be answered if you just look at that reference sheet. I refer to it basically once a day at least. It does have a lot of information, so just be aware it's there for your help.
Yeah. And where can they find that on the website?
You go under the contracting link on the website and it's listed there.
Yeah. Utilize that, guys, because we see a lot of people early on. A lot of mistakes can be made via contracting because they're not using that reference sheet. So if you're a key leader, you're agency owner, or you're up underneath one of those, just make sure you're checking that out because if you do, I'm telling you, add a lot of value to your business. Tina, any other tips you got for them?
That's all I got.
I love it. All right. Well, appreciate you, Tina, and all you do. I appreciate you. Great work this past week. You had 8 new recruits, girl. That's pretty awesome. So that's pretty awesome. So if you want to know how to recruit, I'd get with Tina. I'm telling you, folks, she knows how to recruit. So we get it done here at the office. So good stuff, girl. All right. Smoking Joe, I got you out there, buddy.
Yep.
Good deal, man. Well, thank you for not making me have to mess with technology and unmute you again.
Yeah.
We both know that could be a disaster today with Zoom breakdown and me on my cell phone here hosting this. So, buddy, over 400,000 submitted just in the last year and a half, I believe. Does that sound right? Does that sound right? Because I know you did 350 last year.
My total career is like 600 or something. So
yeah, 600,000. So I love that, man. I love that example. And you got a special guest on the call today, going to be doing a book of the month for you. So I'm going to turn it over to you, my man.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to introduce my brother, James Martinez. Joined our team probably about a year ago, just really part-time, but now finally moved out to Arizona. So he's here in our office working with me here and my sister. So it's really cool that I got both of my brother and sister working with us out of the office and just really excited. done sales for a very long time, so I'm excited to see what he'll be doing. Hopefully, he's better than me. That's always what I want.
We're always praying for that. I love it, man.
All right. Hi,
Our
everybody.
way, James. It's all you, buddy.
All right. For y'all that don't know me, I'm James Martinez. Joe Martinez, my brother here. Like he said, I just recently moved here from Texas, San Antonio. Sold my house, quit my job. So hopefully good things to come here.
Pressure's on all of us, right?
Here to talk about the book here, From Good to Great. Doing chapters 6 and 7. Start off chapter 6 here. It's a culture of discipline. The main concept of here is build a culture full of the right people who take disciplined actions within the three circles from the hedgehog concept from the previous chapter 5 there. 4 bulletins there that kind of caught my attention there. The first one is build a culture around ideal of freedom and responsibility within a framework that works, which in our case will be the symmetry, the framework here, the plug and play, the 2 boxes, make sure you're following, doing everything it takes to get it done here every week. 2, fill the culture with self-disciplined people who are willing to go the extreme lengths to fulfill those responsibilities. And there's a metaphor they use here. For those that read it, it's called, they will rinse their cottage cheese. That comes from the quote there from Dave Scott, who won the Hawaiian Ironman 6 times in a row, 6 times. And he was already fit doing a extreme workout daily, but just to get that extra cutting edge would actually, they call it like a super discipline act, just to give him that extra. He did a low fat, high carbohydrate diet that gave him that cutting edge, which he would rinse his cottage cheese just to get the excessive fat, any extra out of there. And many companies use that just to take that extra. Which companies are willing to do that extra just to kind of get that little leadway? And a lot of those add up, as you go on. Third is don't confuse the culture of discipline with other cultures that are not using a good discipline with the company there. And then most of all, stay focused, consistent, and then make sure you are creating a stop list, doing stop lists. So don't just keep exceeding to where you're going to get tired and wear yourself out and not accomplish anything in the long run to get those great results there. And then the order is very important. So you can't do one without the other. So discipline action without disciplined people is impossible to work. So discipline by itself would not produce great results. So you have the right people and the right concept to, interlock there. And then some of the other key concepts here, as you read on there, the people are doing whatever it takes to become the best. Everybody wants to become the best, but many people are not doing what it takes. Some of those are just, and they say it's like in many ways, it's just that simple, but just that difficult. And most of them lack the clarity of what they could be best at, lack whatever it takes to turn potential into reality, and then the lack of discipline, which to do that extra edge to get to where you want to be, which they use rinse your cottage cheese there. What are you willing to do to get where you want in the future, your goals? And then everything coincides of what you're doing. Make sure it's within their concept of the 3 circles of what you're doing, what you're best at, what drives your economic engine, and what you're deeply passionate about. And that's chapter 6 there. Some of the key points there. Just, you can't have discipline one person being the discipline action, but you don't have the right people in place. All right. And then as we move on to chapter 7, technology accelerators. One of the metaphors they use, or one of the concepts they use here, kind of using technology when the internet first came out. Walgreens was one of the big companies there that they had. And when the internet came out, they were using, it was drugstore.com, and it was online there. So they basically kind of took over, and what they said, they hit the floor running starting off. So they were doing real excellent. You know, the shares was over 300 per shares, while Walgreens was just dropping. And versus Walgreens didn't really attach to the technology when the first internet came out. So they use a different one, kind of, they say you start crawl and then you got to walk before you run. Because eventually, I mean, you can't just start running, because then you don't know how to crawl or walk. And as soon as you stop, you're going to fall. So they applied the technology with the hedgehog concept. And they say just overcoming different obstacles that come through the year. They call them bubbles. So, you know, bubbles come and go. Some of the different ones that happened, you know, back in the day was the railroad when it first came out. So that hit a bit market. Then the radio, then the computer came out, the internet, and something we're going through right now is COVID. And it's basically how great companies endure and adapt to the changes and how you apply them. So just, you know, and many great companies that do great, it's not what they do, but how they think differently of technology and how they apply it to. And then the technology and science, a lot of people just, many people don't understand the technology. They mainly just fear the concept of how to apply it and go on there. And then the primary factors is just stay consistent, disciplined, and then technology is just a secondary part of it. So you use the technology to boost your business, just kind of like we're using Zoom, you know, all these online, you know, just over the phone. So it's a 80-20 kind of. So the main part is the culture, which, I mean, I love here just what Cemetery has, a great culture, the concept, you know, it's just everything's in place. You just have to apply it. And then just, you know, before you make any changes of what you're doing, the technology, I just love it. Just, you know, everything does it fit within the 3 concepts, the 3 circles of the hedgehog concept, basically. And if it doesn't, then don't mess with it. Don't go with it on there. So just some of the great things I have there. And how I just, you know, how we could apply it here is just, you know, just using through Zoom, through the phone, just like we're doing now. We can't really meet in person. We're not having meetings, but we're still having the, you know, the calls here internationally through Zooms. It's just great. And how we adapted many other insurance companies, instead of, you know, us closing, we just adapted and just moved on through using the technology and moving forward. And that's something great I picked up from these 2 chapters here in the book here. You know, that's all I got there.
Love it, man. You know, it's that, you know, we always talk about it all the time. And Joe and James, I think you guys get it because you've been successful in businesses that you guys have before. It is that discipline action, you know, and then, you know, willing to do extra. And I love the fact that this book reminds us of the basic things that we need to do to take our businesses from good to great, because we have a lot of people that are doing quite good here right now, and, you know, but they want to be great. And these are the little things that if they can incorporate into their businesses and daily lives, that guess what? They'll go from good and they'll become great here at Symmetry Financial. So wherever you are, these are concepts that you can apply to your daily business or daily life that can create habits of getting you where you want to get to. My challenge is, are you doing it? Right? There's the question for everybody out there. Are you doing it? Right? And because we realize that we have a platform and system here to get you results as long as you're willing to do the work. You have to be willing to do the work, and I would say that massive action, constant correction, we always talk about it, but be willing to do those little things that they talk about, the disciplines. And if you do that, folks, I'm telling you, and you apply the principles that a book like this brings to the table, some magic stuff can happen to you here. Magic stuff. So thank you, James. Certainly appreciate you, buddy. And thank you for the breakdown of the book of the month. I think we got one more week left, and we'll close it out next week. For that, we'll be announcing a new book of the month very soon. Mr. Joe. So, buddy, I got you. Me and you were, I'd talked to you about a little concept that we see that may be able to help a lot of new agents and really some veteran agents that we see struggling in this department as well. We were going to talk about what we're going to talk about. I'm going to let you get into the topic and really break it down for us.
So we're going to talk about the value of what a policy or a program does versus the price. And I think right now more than ever, it's so important because, from rapport building, we're not in person, and that's obviously a little bit different. And making sure when we're able to speak with the family and sit with them via Zoom or phone, that we're actually able to build the value of what the program we're showing them, and so that they understand and they're ready to move forward with it, immediately. Obviously, we still want in the first appointment. Just a great way to start with that is what I do is I take a lot of notes. Okay. When I'm building the rapport with the family, I just take a lot of really good notes because I use that to make sure I build the value, because they're giving you all the weapons you need to help, finish the close and finish, getting them out of their own way to close the deal, because that's what we're doing, right? People they like us and they feel comfortable with us and they start releasing all this information. If you're doing your job right, is you're writing all these notes down, these tidbits, right? They're telling you who they want to cover, their kids, their dog, their house, whatever it may be. And they're letting you know what's important in their life through us rapport building. So by getting all this information and making sure you're doing the right thing with the information they're giving you, that's where you're really able to build the value to what you're showing them, right? Because, when I'm going through my presentation, I don't even talk about price until the very, very end, because I get to know them. I get the information to build the value of what we're going to talk about. And then I ask them, and the number one question to ask them in this case is, once you build your rapport, is, okay, guys, John, Mary, what are you looking for this to do for you? Because that's that question. Write that down, please. And if you're not asking it, you have to. What did you want this to do for you? And they're going to tell you exactly how to build the value in that program. They're going to tell you, well, hey, Joe, I want Mary not to, I want her to have 5 years worth of mortgage payments and not have to worry about it. Or, hey, I want to be able to pay off the house and some cars. Or, hey, you know what? We just want enough for Mary to be able to, make the payments for a year and move, to Oregon, because that's where the kids are at. That answer is how you build the value. So I'm going to say that one more time, is what exactly did you want this to do for y'all? That's the question you ask to get to be able to present the value to everyone, because that answer, and very important, don't let them give you a fake answer.
That's what I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
I just wanted to pay off the house. Yeah, that's essentially that's what you wanted to do. But, it's digging into that question. It's okay, well, what do you mean by that? Right? Well, I want to pay off the whole $200,000. Okay. So right now you don't have enough to pay off the $200,000. If we don't have this, what would it look like for Mary, John, if tomorrow you're gone? And they're like, okay, well, then they start thinking, right? Then like, hey, look, these are uncomfortable questions that we ask y'all. Unfortunately, or, fortunately, I get to have these conversations with families. I go, so I'm going to ask y'all some questions that make you feel a little uncomfortable, but this is how I do my job best. Right? So, John, tomorrow you're gone, and I always try to refer my family to theirs so that they understand that I'm in the same boat, and everyone is, right? Because we all are. I'm like, hey, John, you know what? I do good at saving, but I only got probably about 6 months worth of payments and all my bills. in my savings account. Right now, they feel that you're not intimidating, and now you're just another person in front of me. So what I did, John, is I have this same thing, but I'm able to pay off half of my mortgage for my wife, or the whole thing. Plus, I have a little bit extra for her because we got 4 kids, and I don't expect her to go back to work the very day the next month I pass away. And that puts you down at their level, and they feel way more comfortable to answer that question properly, because that's a great question to ask, but you also need a proper answer. And to get that proper answer, you have to dig, because people don't want to talk about it, right? People don't want to say, no, I only got 2 months worth of payments, or, I don't have anything, which is normally about 80% of the cases that I talk to. I'm like, hey, look, I'm going to ask you a question that I really like. I want the real answer to. I go, if you were to pass away, how much can Mary live off of? And they really, start to think about it. And they're like, Joe, she's probably got 1 or 2 months, right? And that's the reality of, like I said, 85% of the families that I talk to. And then I start to get that right answer and still writing all the notes down, so that the next, portion of my presentation is showing them the options. They're like, okay, well, now based on what you've told me, let's look for the full payments, right? Or you know what? I think half of the payment is what's going to be comfortable in your situation. And a lot of times, and maybe just because of the demographic where I'm at, I'm speaking to a lot of older folks, it's a lot less. It's final expense because they're out here by themselves. Their kids live in Oregon, Wyoming, California. And the wife is like, Joe, I wouldn't stay here by myself. I would leave and go live with my kids in Oregon. That changes my entire program. Now I'm on a whole nother level, and I'm just trying to get them, a year or two worth of payments, because that's what's best for them. And when you find what's best for them, price doesn't matter, because people are going to invest on whatever they want, right? We've heard it before. You walk into somebody's house and it's a small house, it's a normal home, but you walk in there and they got a huge 70-inch TV with, speakers. That's their passion, right? They got a $7,000 TV and radio system. Or you walk into a home and they got all these fish tanks, right? And thousands of dollars worth of fish and fish tank that just doesn't coincide with them living on Social Security. But that's what's important to them. That's what that's what brings value to their life. And when you're able to show them that this policy protects what's important to them, price is not an option. They're willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to make sure they cover. And in fact, I've been really focusing on that this month. And I think out of the last 8 applications I've sold, 6 of them went up above the option that I originally thought for them, because they said, I want to protect what I value. And Joe, I know you recommend this according to our budget and everything, but you know what? We're willing to sacrifice to get to that one. And if you truly focus on that, it'll change your game, because it's very important. Because I went through this at the beginning, my year 1. I would call Chris and Mark all the time. Was building my APV. I had very low APV. And it was just because I was focused on the price, right? I pull out my options and I said, okay, it's 150 and 25. Which one's that? Well, 25. Everyone's going to tell you I want the cheapest option, right? But I'm not selling them on price. I'm not even talking about price. I'm letting them tell me what coverage they want, right? Because that's the most important part, is them telling you what they want, not us telling them what's good for them. Our job is to consult, have a conversation, understand what's important in their family, and understand who's gonna, what carrier is gonna be able to help them in that situation. Then we put some options together that we see normally in a home, but then it's their job to say, this is what makes sense in my family. So hopefully that helps y'all quite a bit. And I would say where you get all these answers from, guys, is rapport building. If you're not building enough rapport and doing the right thing with the rapport, which is taking notes. Okay, I always have, even in Zoom or whether I was in a home, I have a notepad, and when they're explaining, I like football and I like this and all that, I'm taking little notes of what's important to them, so that I can use that to help them understand what they're protecting with the policy, even if it's a small one. So that's what I got, Chris.
Man, I love it. I was sitting here, taking notes. The dig deep, just reminds me it does build value, and one of the things that I loved, it's like if I was interviewing you, Joe, you and Sandra, and I was in your home, certainly I lead off with that question: what's your main concern insurance wise for you and Sandra? And then I let you guys answer the question. I'm taking notes over here on my lead, and then I'm saying, well, if something happens to both of you at the same time, you guys have kids, right? Yeah. Who's taking care of the kids? Are any of them above age 18? Who's taking care of the kids? Yeah. You with me? And then you tell me. And then you may say, well, actually, we want to go to a trust fund. And I even refer to my two kids. I said, well, what we've got for Reese and Noah, that's my two little boys. They're 8 and 10 now. Way we've got it set up is it's the money's going to her sister to be able to take care of the kids till they turn 18, and then she's taking care of them financially and giving them the rest of the money at that time. How do you guys want yours to look?
Yep. Yeah, it's a great example to be able to use yourself to show them and give them options of what people have out there, right? Because again, nobody knows what this is. Nobody knows how to use insurance. And it's our job to give them that information. I get a lot of no's, right? I get so many no's, but what I get out of a no is, Joe, you did a great job of explaining what this is to me. And at this time, we are financially sound and don't need it. Great. That was I found that out. And then it's a lot of times it may be, hey, you know what? We're just not ready financially to do this. Okay, great. Here's my card, but thank you for, I understand what this is now. And when you're able to do that, I mean, throughout the 2.5 years here, I randomly will get a phone call. Hey, Joe, we're ready to move forward. It's so long ago, I don't even remember their case. And I'm like, well, I need your name, remind me a little bit. I talked to a lot of people. And I think the farthest one that's ever called me back was about 10 months later. 10 months, that's almost a year later that they've thought about it, right? Or figured out, but I left such a lasting impression that they have changed their financial monthly budget to make sure 10 months down the road, they're able to call me and say, okay, Joe, I want to do this one. And when they call me, when it's somebody like that, a client calling me like that, it's not a $20 policy. Let me tell you, it's usually a policy to cover the entire program that we originally showed them, because they saw the value in it. And some people are just not ready. You got to understand that. But if you leave them with all the right thoughts and questions and information, they're going to get back with you, and luckily I've been good enough to do that for them. And I've sold various people and they've called me and we've been able to put a policy to protect their family in place. Like I said, 10 months down the road.
Sure. And it's like, I would just say, caution you guys, if you're out there, certainly don't make this a business though of callbacks, right? No. That's not what we're wanting to teach you. And if you leave here saying, oh my God, callbacks work, we've done you a huge disservice out there. So don't think if you're running this business to get callbacks and people are going to call you back, you're going to get rich that way. No, if anything, I'd say you're going out of business that way. Don't do that.
Yeah. You know I mean? I said one person has called me back that
right.
10 months ago, right? 350 families that I helped, and probably another 400 or 500 families that said no. So they don't call back. Okay.
Right.
But
right.
It's just a great
exactly.
example of
I don't want the new agents. I don't want the new agents out there falling in love with callback land, because I know when I was the first new agent, I was like, oh, I was so excited, Joe, that these people are going to call me back. And 9 out of every 10 people that told me that, I never received a call from. When I got better in the field, when I got better at helping families, I got better at asking questions. I got it better at getting to their why and never leaving that why. It's just like if I'm working with you and Sandra, if I say, all right, so your main concern, Sandra, Joe passes away, you and the kids can't keep the home. Is that what you're telling me? And if she says, yes, that's exactly it, then I'm a dog on the hunt. I see the scent. It's there. It's exactly their why. They can't afford not to have this coverage. Okay, is my point. And now, okay, so Joe, you and Sandra, something happens to both y'all at the same time, do you want it spread equally amongst the kids?
Yep.
How many kids do you guys have?
4.
4. What's their names?
Austin, Tiffany, Joey, and Johnny.
Austin, Tiffany, Joey, and Johnny. So I'm sitting there and I'm taking notes, folks. And if I do that and then say, okay, so you guys want to make sure if something happens to both of you, we got the Austin, Tiffany, Joey, and Johnny, right? Johnny. Yeah. So I've got them all and I'm listing them all down there, because if I do that, remember, this is an important thing for everybody to understand. We talk about what it does, not what it is. And what it does for Joe and Sandra is take care of their 2 little kids in case something happens to both of them. And if we talk about that and we lead with that, and that is in our heart to protect those families, you will be amazed at how many families you'll help. And you'll be amazed at how many less that people choose a much higher premium volume because they're choosing a product that protects their family over choosing a product that looks like another bill to them. That's the key ingredient that I want to leave with everybody today. See, I didn't give Joe another bill. I gave him protection for his 4 kids and his wife. And that's talking about what it does, not what it is, right? And so I love it, Joe. It's the reason you're a stud producer, my friend, is you pull it out, you have the rapport, and you go out and do it. And I just say, dig deep. Be okay, producers out there asking questions. Be okay with asking questions, because asking questions really reveals to you how you can truly help these families. And I just say lead with that. Lead with those key questions. And remember, talk about what it does, not what it is. And you'll find that you will not be selling on price. If you're selling on price, you'll feel like, you're in cheap world. Selling on value, you'll be amazed at how many families you'll impact. Joe, any last things you want to say, buddy?
Yeah, I just thought of one other question that I want to make sure everyone's asking. And this is probably the most uncomfortable conversation we'll have with the home. But make sure we are talking about somebody passing away or someone getting really sick, because that's our business. If you're uncomfortable, you better get comfortable with that very fast, because that's the second way you're building the value, right? They told us with the first question what they want to protect and what will bring value. But the next question is, you have to paint that picture in their head. And the only way you're going to do that is, for us having that difficult conversation of talking about somebody passing away. You don't got to say death. You can word it all kinds of pretty ways, right? Hey, John, unfortunately, my main concern is when you do pass away or when something does happen, because that's the one thing we can't control. Something's gonna happen and you're not here. What does it look like for Mary? You got to be very comfortable to ask those questions and have that conversation with the family. And they're going to tell you right away, well, we've never talked about that, because no one wants to talk about death or somebody passing away or someone having cancer, right? But the reality is we can't control. And the one thing that we're sure of is something's going to happen one day. And are we protected, or do we have something in place to at least make sure we don't lose everything we've built the past 30 years? So take that home with you.
I love it. I love it, my man. Well, I believe we added value to them today, Joe. I pray we did. And so everybody go out and have a great week. You got the 12 o'clock call coming up, the real system to get you guys even better in the home, hosted by my good buddy, Cicely Newsom. Make sure you guys are plugging into that. So appreciate everybody out there. You guys have an amazing, amazing week out in the field. Thank you, guys.